Hello everyone, Joel Tadman here from Golf Monthly, and in this video we're going to highlight some of the reasons why you need to use a launch monitor. There's an awful lot of technology and innovation in golf recently, and a launch monitor is one of those bits of kit you really shouldn't overlook. A lot of you are probably wondering, what is a launch monitor? Well, it's essentially a bit of kit that measures or tracks what the club is doing into impact, and then what it's doing as it strikes the ball and what the ball is doing after impact. And it kind of quantifies what it's doing into various forms of data that can be then used for club fittings, lessons, and a variety of applications outside of that we're going to cover in this video. Now at this point I need to remind you that if you're new to the Golf Monthly YouTube channel, make sure you click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our other equipment review videos, and do click the like button down below if you like what you're watching. So I think it's about time we get into the various different reasons why you need to use a launch monitor, starting with knowing how far you hit your clubs. It's on a good line, but it's come up short, and that's the main reason, number one, why you need to use a launch monitor, and it's to work out exactly how far you hit your clubs. The majority of golfers out there overestimate how far they hit their clubs. So if they think they hit a 7-iron 150 yards, more often than not, they actually hit it about 130 or 140 yards. And that's a really crucial mistake, because the majority of hazards on a golf course are short of the green. So that's going to get you into a lot of trouble, and it's going to really affect your scoring. You really need to avoid these hazards by hitting the appropriate club for this shot that's in hand. And that's where using a really good launch monitor like the Foresight Sports GC Quad can help you out, because it will tell you exactly how far you hit your club, how far they carry, and also how far the total distance is, which is really important with a driver on a hole if you're trying to avoid hazards. So, get yourself on a launch monitor, hit a number of shots with each club in your bag, make a note of the average distance, and keep that with you for safekeeping, as a record. If you don't remember it, you can refer to it out on the golf course. So, when you're over the ball, you know how far you've got. These reputable GPSs and laser rangefinders give you the distance you need to hit the shot, but if you haven't got the club to do it, or you hit the wrong club, you're going to get yourself into trouble. So, use the right club for the job in hand, and you should see a more positive result more often than not. When working on our game or analysing our own swing, we tend to have a pretty good idea about what the club is doing through the ball based on the ball flight that we see down the range, but we're never 100% sure, and that's why you really need to use a launch monitor to give you that immediate feedback. And a camera-based launch monitor like the Foresight Sports GC Quad we've got here is really clever, because it uses 4 high-speed, high-resolution cameras to measure and capture exactly what the ball is doing just after impact. So it will tell us the ball's launch and spin and speed, and then it will use accurate ball flight models to predict things like the curvature of the flight and the carry distance and the height of the flight as well. So it's really important to give you a clear picture about what the club and ball are actually doing. And the GC Quad can actually also capture club data, because it's positioned in front and on the target side of the golf ball. It has a direct view of that collision between club and ball, so it can tell us things like angle of attack, the path of the club, and also the loft and the lie angle. And that's also really important, but it measures it independently from what the ball is doing. So that's another key crucial difference between a camera-based launch monitor like the GC Quad. It's really easy to collect that data and interpret it, because the GC Quad, for example, has inbuilt Wi-Fi. So the pairing process, whether you're using a laptop or an iPad, is really seamless. It's really quick and easy to do. But then once you've got all that data, it can be quite confusing. There's an awful lot of ball and club data to get your head around, and that's why it's really important to get that data in front of a PGA Pro, who can really then use their knowledge to interpret the data and put you on the best course of action. And if you do that, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised about how quick the improvement is, and it basically takes the guesswork out of what you're doing and how you're trying to change your swing. There's no point basing your changes on something that you see or that you think is happening that isn't actually accurate. So the fact that it's based on facts should definitely speed up your improvement. common pitfalls golfers fall into is not taking into account the outdoor conditions when hitting balls on a driving range. You can see today, maybe from the clouds, there is a bit of a crosswind from right to left, but if you don't take that into account when you're hitting balls, obviously you're going to be hitting shots on the range and the balls are going to be drawing. So maybe you go out on the course thinking that for today you're going to be hitting a draw, so maybe you aim slightly to the right to allow for that, but then you hit on the course and actually your ball goes dead straight or even cuts off to the right, and that's because you haven't taken into account what those conditions are doing downrange. And that's where using a launch monitor can really help you out, especially one like the Foresight Sports GC Quad, because this uses closed data which isn't affected by downrange conditions. So basically what you can do is use its alignment tool here, which I've got here. It's just a kind of little fold out stick, and it will basically automatically calibrate to wherever you want it to be pointing to. So you can basically, so I'll pick out that yellow flag down there, and if I line the stick up to where I want it, you can see it's already calibrating. Gives you a little beep. So there, it's targeted now right at that yellow flag there, just a little beep there. So then you can take the stick away, you know it's pointing, the launch monitor is set up at the target that you want to be hitting to. So even if you do hit a shot and it is affected by the crosswind, that won't come out on the data on the launch monitor. So let's hit a shot here at that yellow flag. Oh, just move it into the hitting zone. The other good thing about the GC Quad is that it does have a large hitting zone, so you can have a full session using it on grass. You haven't got to keep moving it based on where your divots are. You can basically hit a full range bucket on grass and off the mat, of course. So right, let's hit this 6-iron towards that yellow flag. Pretty good shot. Did drift a little bit on the wind, but that won't be reflected in the data. So again, gives you a clearer picture of how you're hitting the ball on the day, which should help you then out on the golf course. Now there are certain types of shot around the green that we all want to pull off, and it's only through experimentation during practice that we work out exactly the best way to master them. But actually using a launch monitor can really speed up that process. For example, if you want to play that low flying, high spinning, that chip shot that really checks up quickly that Phil Mickelson plays so well, you might adjust your technique in a certain way. For example, you might decide to lean the handle forwards as well to get the ball launching really low, or you might move the ball position back. There's different things you could try, but actually you might find that hitting shots on the launch monitor, that immediate feedback's telling you that maybe the shot doesn't actually spin quite as much with that shaft leaning forward than if you had it in a more neutral position. So that process of experimentation is just sped up significantly. So it allows you to kind of master how you're going to play that shot a bit quicker, and gives you that feedback as to how you're going to get the most spin and the best ball flight and result for your game. I'm pretty happy with that one. So like I said, using a launch monitor can speed up that process of experimentation and help you pull off those difficult shots around the green. Wedges are your scoring clubs, and a decent launch monitor can really help you make sure you have even distance gaps between the wedges in your bag, whether you carry 2, 3 or 4. It's really important to have even distance gaps between those wedges to make sure you're covering off as many distances as you can. But where a launch monitor can also help you out is on those really awkward kind of half swing or 3/4 swing wedge shots. If you've hit a good drive on a short par 4, or maybe you're close to the green on a par 5, you really need to make the most of those opportunities, maybe even make a par or even a birdie. And by mastering those different distances, it's really going to help you out, and launch monitor is going to help you do that. There are a number of methods out there to help you. So there are some teachers and golfers out there that recommend, say you had 3 different wedges, you then have 3 different swings with each of those wedges. So for example, you could have where your hands go to waist height, chest height, and shoulder height. And so therefore you've got 9 different distances across all your different wedges covered off. But it's only by using a launch monitor you would then know exactly how far each of those shots go. So for example, I've got my 54-degree wedge here, and we're going to do a chest high swing with the wedge. And the launch monitor is telling us that goes 62 yards. So you get, again, immediate feedback from the launch monitor to tell you how far you're hitting those shots. And that should certainly help your scoring around the greens. You might be surprised to hear that it's not just your long game where a decent launch monitor can help you out. No, there are some out there that can provide an analysis of your putting. One of those is the Foresight Sports GC Quad, and that's really important if you're maybe going through a putter fitting or simply want to know that the putter you're currently using is giving you the best performance. There are a couple of key areas of performance you're looking at with putter, most notably the launch angle, but also how well it's rolling. So we're looking at things like skid and the distance from when you strike it to when the ball is achieving true roll, so when it's rolling end over end. And obviously the shorter the better, the more likely it is to stay on line if it's got a shorter skid distance. And the GC Quad will give you that skid distance with its putting analysis. So, you know, for example, if I just hit a putt here, hopefully hole it for you. There we go. And we can see on the screen here, it's got a variety of numbers, but like I mentioned, the launch and the skid and distance to roll are the most important. So if you're looking to change your putter or just want to kind of see if your putter is performing as well as it should do, get on a launch monitor and hopefully those numbers will really help you out. Now, just because it's raining, freezing cold or pitch black outside doesn't mean you can't work on your game if you have a launch monitor. That's right, you can practice in total comfort when others can't, giving you that competitive edge. And you don't need a room like this to do it in. Really, all you need is a mat, a net and some sort of compatible device like a laptop or iPad to work with the launch monitor to give you all the relevant numbers and ball flights. So whether you just want to hit various shots on a virtual range, or maybe you want to compare two different demo clubs that you're thinking of buying to see which one works the best, you can do that with a setup like this. And if you're lucky enough to have Foresight's FSX software, that kind of takes it one step further and provides a lot of different skills challenges for you to really hone in certain areas of your game. There's a short game one where you can chip and pitch to under 6 feet challenge. There's nearest to pin challenges. There's online long drive championships where you can compete with other online users. So that's a fantastic way to really keep playing when the weather's bad outside and you can't hit balls outside. You can come inside, work on your game and hopefully improve, ready for the start of next season. And that's the benefit of using a camera-based launch monitor like the Foresight Sports GC Quad. It captures shots within a relatively small space, and basically all you need is a room that's big enough to swing a club in and you're good to go. Now, using a launch monitor doesn't always have to be about the serious process of improving your game. It can also be about having fun, and there are various software packages out there. If you have a setup similar to this with a screen, you can undertake various different games. For example, Foresight have a really good software package where you can go through various different fairground games. They're really, really fun to do. We've done some bullseye challenges on dartboard. We've done some putting challenges with 10-pin bowling, and we've also done a shooting range as well, where you're trying to kind of punch targets and knock them down. It's a really, really fun thing to do. And it can also get different people into the game that maybe hadn't considered playing golf before because they thought it was too boring. You get them along into a similar setup like this, you know, socialize together and get them playing these games. And I'm pretty confident they'll really enjoy the experience and potentially get them hooked on golf and get them keen to play proper golf out on the golf course. Another thing you can do is also play some of the world's best courses from the comfort of your own home. And you can see here, we've got the 18th hole at the famous Wentworth West course, second shot into this par 5. I'm 225 yards away and I'm going to have a go at trying to hit the green. And it's a great thing you can do with your friends, get them all round, play around together on a famous course, have a few drinks. It's a lot of fun and really put them under pressure like I feel like I'm under pressure now. So 225 yards into this par 5. Let's see if we can hit the green. Oh, it was a good strike. It's got to go. Oh, it was wet. Unfortunately, that's so annoying. But as you can see, it's a lot of fun to play courses like this. And I think you'll agree, it's really going to bring people together. So hopefully you'll agree we've highlighted some pretty compelling reasons as to why you need to get yourself on a launch monitor in this video. And yes, it's true that the best launch monitors on the market do come in at a very premium price. There are some options out there that make them easily accessible to you. For example, on the Foresight Sports website, you can click on their venue finder feature, type in your postcode, and it'll give you a rundown of all the PGA pros in your area that own a launch monitor. And there are also a variety of finance options available. So through Foresight, you can own a GC2, which is a slightly older version of their top quality launch monitor, for just £4 a day. So you can own a launch monitor. There are affordable ways you can do that. Guys, I'd love to hear from you, so make sure you comment on this video. Tell me, have you used the launch monitor? What do you think of it? And if you haven't used the launch monitor, has this video convinced you to go and use one, whether on the driving range or maybe even out on the golf course with your local professional? I'd love to hear from you. So whether it is club fittings, lessons, whatever it might be, hopefully you'll agree that getting on a launch monitor is the perfect starting point for improving your game.